What's going on? We are statistically opinionated. I'm Ryan. That's Jared. Ooh, I got it right this time. Look at that.
Damn it.
Made it back on, man. What's going on?
Hey, good to have you back. 2 weeks of trying to hold it together here. Last week was kind of rough. We had Seth on the week prior. A lot of stuff has happened over the 2 weeks. I know
Yeah, I know.
you've been in the woods. You haven't had any cellular service, no Wi-Fi or anything. So just to let you know, there's still basketball being played, and
I figured
yeah,
that.
nothing crazy going on that you've missed, I should say. Just kidding. There's like 17 game sevens going on right now, so
I know.
it's kind of wild.
We're in the fourth quarter of the NBA season, basically, since it really is just as long as the rest of it.
Yeah.
You got hockey going on. I was kind of sad. The Predators did lose while I was there, and I was like, well, I guess I don't go to any playoff games this year down there in Nashville, but whatever. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Plenty of other things to do. Man, we can kick it right off. I want to go right into baseball because I think this story is absolutely insane. So what is it? Red Sox Pirates, right? They combined to throw 8 innings, no hitter. The Reds did, and still lost the game because baseball is baseball, and someone got on due to what was it, like an RBI throwout? I didn't watch the whole thing. I imagine someone got walked and ended up getting in there on some fielder's choice type play.
Yeah, I didn't see actually how it happened. Jeff, one of the guys that chimes in here on the show, he texted me and was like, look at this nonsense right here. There was 4 hits in a game only by the Reds, and they lost. It's comical.
I'm looking at the box score, and the Pirates have no hits. And
I'd have been pissed if I paid money for that game.
They won, and this is the issue with baseball.
Yeah.
If we got any baseball fans listening, paying attention, hit us up. Give us an idea of maybe what you thought of this. It's just boring. I could have watched the grass grow outside of my house and been happier.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if going back to my statement of I've been pissed if I went to the game, it'd be kind of cool to see history. It's only the 6th time it's ever happened. First time since like 2008, I believe is what Jeff was showing me. I mean, if you're a Pirates fan, it'd be cool, I guess, but I don't know. As we continue going with the show, as the summer starts heating up here, we'll start sharing these weird stats. We might, show some interest in baseball. I doubt it, but we'll try.
Maybe that's what we find for baseball. We won't say we won't talk baseball. We'll just find the crappy things baseball does that makes you not want to watch it.
It makes me not want to watch it. Yeah. So, but then again,
the best part.
When somebody comes out here and has a great game or puts up a crazy stat line, we'll definitely. Yeah, we'll briefly talk about it. So
yeah, of course. if it's good numbers, we'll enjoy it for a couple seconds and move on. That's about all we got on it.
Yep. As far as other baseball news, though, I really think that's about it. Nothing else that I really wanted to throw up. I tried. Yeah, I started digging a little bit earlier. I don't really have anything else for baseball, but I do want to. Pre-show, I didn't bring this up, but I want to throw out another little sports, non-major sports number here.
Okay.
Rich Strike. We talked about horse racing last week.
Okay.
Briefly, long shot, 80-1 odds came in, paid people a ton of money. Has pulled out of the Belmont Stakes.
I did see that. Was there a reasoning? I didn't read into it.
So, yeah, or the Preakness. Sorry, he wants to run the Belmont Stakes. So Preakness is next, and kind of want to bring that up. This is like one of those crazy things in sports. The Triple Crown's a big thing. Whoever wins a Kentucky Derby, the conversation is had immediately. But he is a long race horse. He's a stamina horse, and they believe going to a shorter race is the Preakness. I believe is the shortest of the three, and they don't want to do any. The way I watched a podcast on this is so stupid. This is how much time I spent on this. And the way they were talking about it was like he was never supposed to run the Derby. He was a last minute ad on Friday night to the Derby. The whole time they've been setting him to run the Belmont Stakes, which is like the 2.5 mile race or something like that. So we will not see a Triple Crown in horse racing this year. So just kind of wanted to put that up. So
fair enough.
It's about that's more interesting than baseball.
Yeah, that's about all I can. I didn't even go into the story. I just saw the headline and I was like, oh well, I guess no Triple Crown this year. No big deal. In other news, if we're going to talk about pulling out and not playing or being in, I don't know. I kind of went a different path in my brain.
Yeah,
Uh, Phil's not going to play the PGA Championship, which is this weekend coming up.
I
So
know.
he's not going to defend his crown that he won last year. And I think he's like the third or fourth. If I was looking into it, I can't remember exactly. Most of them due to injury, basically injury. I think one guy died in an airplane crash after in between, like trying to defend it, like
Yeah,
that type of
it's
deal.
hard to defend your title
Yeah.
after an unfortunate event like that. So, um, yeah, I actually talked about this last week. It was one of the things I brought up. Tiger and Phil both registered for the
Yep.
event. It looks like Tiger's going to play as of right now.
I think Tuesday he meets with the media about it and kind of, I
Yeah,
don't know, gives us what he's thinking. Who knows?
yeah. He talked about it right after the Masters and said that he's setting himself up to play for the PGA Championship. So, um, talking about it last week, I thought this was going to be really interesting. Have both of these guys back anytime they're both on the course at the same time. Golf is
Madness.
worth watching.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, we won't see you, Phil, but hopefully we do see him later on in one of the other majors later on in the year. So, um, who
You can
knows?
hope so. His whole deal, everything that happened with the whole, what was it, like the Saudi League and everything that came out where he made comments and people were disgruntled about it. Whatever.
Yeah,
It's Phil. Phil talks. Phil says what he wants to say, and it's part of the reason people enjoy watching him play golf too.
yeah, absolutely. I will say I still have tickets to the first round of the
Really?
PGA Championship. Yeah, I got 2 tickets.
Oh, look at this
So
guy.
now I just got to figure out how to get up there if I want to go. It's like a 6 hour drive, which isn't bad. But it's on a
That's
random Thursday,
well.
so we'll see. We'll we'll be live on location, filmed on location if I get to go up there. So
Put it in a nice little live feed. We can watch it, check out what happens.
we can do it, and then
Uh,
somebody grabs my phone and throws it in the trash, probably.
there you
So
go. You brought it up earlier. Yesterday we had 3 hockey game 7s. Today there's 2 hockey game 7s and 2 NBA game 7s. One of them just finished. Everybody who was watching probably saw it. Boston came out and took care of Milwaukee. Uh, you know, tough for Milwaukee. We'll get into it though. I want to just put up some hockey real quick. Nothing crazy
absolutely,
because we don't get too far into it. But to have 5 game 7s in the first round of
yeah,
your playoff money making that you're making as a league is pretty good. And I've watched a couple of the games. I haven't watched a bunch of them. Fantastic. I did want to point out Toronto. The Maple Leafs still haven't won a playoff series since 2004. So it's looking real tough for them.
yeah. And hockey is very similar to basketball fans. And for anybody who watches this, and we talk, Ryan and I both love the NBA. We love talking basketball, but there seems to be those diehard fans and the people who go just as hard to not watch it and not enjoy it. And I
Yep,
feel
both
like the same
sides of
things.
it.
I feel like the same can be said about hockey as well, because they have similar seasons. They start, about just like 3 weeks apart,
Yep,
82 game seasons that go on about 7-8 months, and
yep.
then they have a crazy playoff. So this is just like the NBA. This is exactly what hockey needs, and what people who are casual fans like myself, this is exactly what I want to see. So I will put out though. I would never pick, make a prediction for somebody to win, but I do think I want to see the Rangers win on the
Ah,
simple. I'm not a big New York fan, but sometimes, like those big markets, you kind of got to give them a ring in any sport just to kind of still, so we can still have a reason to hate them. So I have no vested interest in any hockey, team at all. Maybe I'll be a Stars fan when I move here in a couple of weeks, but
I do. I've got a vested interest in the Panthers down there who took care of Washington fairly. I wouldn't say easily. It was a good series. They won 6 games. They'll move on to the next and see what happens. I believe Tampa Bay is going for a three-peat, if I'm correct.
I believe so. There we go. Dude, my whole screen just is like frozen right here. So I'll just stare at it thinking it's going to do something different here.
Oh man,
It's awesome.
yeah, Tampa Bay is going for a three-peat, and they made it past their first round. They're going into the second round, and we'll see what happens. Honestly, I'm excited. I enjoy watching playoff hockey. Playoff hockey is always fun to me. I feel like the level, the intensity, it's the same in the NBA, same in football. Maybe it's the same in baseball. I don't have the same Harvard feelings on that note for it, but it seems the intensity goes bananas when you get to that level. So
Oh
it's
yeah.
pretty exciting.
I mean, I think in all of these sports, football is maybe a little different just because you only have 17 games, and in college football it's even less. But these longer-winded sports, if you will, these guys are trying to save their legs for
Yeah.
when it matters. You still need to compete, you still need to have produce, but they're definitely saving their legs for the playoff, not across the board. And I think it's when you get we get what we're getting right now. You get a great product to see out on the ice, if you will. So, and Rangers and Penguins just
It should have just kicked off, right?
they just started.
They just dropped the puck.
Just dropped the puck.
There
Where's
we go.
Jay? Jay would have corrected us there. Yeah, they just
He
started. So
turns.
about 30 seconds into the game.
All
So
right.
we'll keep this up and keep. If anything happens or here it's relevant, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll move on to some NBA. I'm gonna do small news NBA real quick. Nothing crazy, but the draft lottery is Tuesday, so we get to see whichever team trusts the process and see if it works out for them. Huh?
Nice.
Huh? That's
I see what you
pretty
did
good
there.
huh?
Yeah, I see what you did there.
And we can literally move right into Boston and Milwaukee just finishing up the series, Game 7. Milwaukee pulled it out. Or sorry, I said Milwaukee pulled it out like I was thinking it was last year or something. Boston pulled it out. They took the series. They're going to move on. They get to play the Heat, which I'm excited about. That should be an exciting series to watch. And yeah, I don't even know how I feel about it, to be honest. I don't hate Boston, and I like Giannis. And actually, calling this show Trust the Process, Boston's 100% been behind that because everything they've done is pretty much coming through the system that they've created and the culture that they've made. So both of the teams really in both sides of this have done the same exact thing and made a super team, if you want to call it. I don't know. They've got a couple guys on each team that are top players in the NBA that are showing out and putting up the work.
Yeah.
It was a boring game to watch. I'm just going to be 100% honest.
Well, the first 11 minutes into that game, Giannis had like 10, 8, and 6.
Yeah,
and was going banana. They were, I think Bucks were up by like 8 or 9 points after the first quarter or something like that. It
didn't fare well.
6 points in the first quarter, and then just the wheels fell off.
Yeah.
Pretty much they blew out in the second quarter, and then it got out of hand in the fourth. But if Middleton's in that lineup, do we have a different series? I mean, we will never know now. But
no, we won't ever know. I think it's a tougher series. Boston, they're known for their defense. So when Tatum comes out there, Tatum and Brown, and they start, shooting the ball really well, it makes it hard for any team.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they've got Middleton down there, if that helps them out. Who knows? We won't know that. We'll find out next year what happens with the Milwaukee. Lucky for them, Giannis seems to want to stick to Milwaukee and be there. He doesn't want to leave. He wants to, he calls it home, and that's what he wants to do. And that's exciting. It's exciting for a small market team to have that.
That's exciting for any fan, but especially if you're a Bucks fan, because it's. He's shaping up to be a generational talent. So, two MVPs, and he's a champ. Like, the guy's phenomenal. And you're absolutely right. We'll see next year. Boston, for people to kind of take account is after the All-Star break, I think they only lost like 3 games.
They came out burning it hot and, doing what they needed to do, which it's fantastic for them. I've got a vested interest, and I hope Boston loses because they're playing the Heat. And, I feel like I'm going to watch for what I think the first game's Tuesday night. So I've got 2 nights of watching sportscasters talk about how the Heat just aren't good enough and they're not going to be able to capitalize on beating Boston. And sometimes I wish I could just call in and be like, well, you do realize they're the number 1 team in the East for a reason. It wasn't because they were mildly all right and lucky.
Oh, yeah. No, that's, pre-show we were talking, I called the Bucks to win the championship about 3 or 4 weeks ago when the playoffs just started. I said it was going to be Bucks, Golden State. Obviously, it's not happening now. Did we just see maybe a shift preview? Well, I wouldn't say a shift because injuries do play an issue, but you go into the process. Boston's doing it right. They're almost like a Golden State 2.0 of how they built their team throughout the draft the last 7-8 years. But it looks like the champion is going to come out of the East, regardless if it is the Heat or the Celtics. I feel like both of those teams are more polished than what's coming out of the West right now. But
I'd have to agree with you.
I will say the way Boston is playing, I would have thought that they would have beat the Bucks, but injuries or not, you kind of get that fuse going. You like that fuse, and
Yeah, of course.
The ball's just kind of bouncing their way right now. So I don't know. I'll probably be watching this series a little closer than I've watched the rest of the games as more of a kind of watching this game, some of this game. I'll probably be dialed into the series pretty good. So definitely excited to watch that.
For the NBA fans and people who love the current NBA, and I honestly, what's not to love about it? You've got about 5 or 6 guys that are in their prime. You've got 5 or 6 guys coming up, and you've got some older guys they're not fading. I don't want to say fading away, but they're still playing spectacular basketball that'll be a lifetime to remember on their type of basketball. Defense still wins championships. And you can't say that's not true, because pretty sure Boston, Golden State, and Miami were actually the Bucks were too. They were top 5, top 7 in defense for the NBA all year long.
Yeah.
Defense wins championships. It's not sexy. It's boring to watch at times, but at the end of the day, a game that actually Boston scored 109 points, which I didn't even think they were going to get to it watching the game go on because it was getting so slow. But those 90 to 87 games that you used to get back in the day, they still work. So who knows? Yeah. You've got who do we got tonight? Mavericks, Suns.
Yep.
What are you thinking?
So one of the couple of the Facebook pages you and I are on, we get on there and it's just banter back and forth. There's some NBA specific stuff that we follow. I talked about it a little bit last week. Luka's becoming a defensive liability. I think we're seeing somebody who, as it stands, is looking like he's going to be an all-time offensive great. This guy can do everything.
Yeah.
And the last time I really saw somebody who could attack the basket like this man was like that Magic Johnson, playmaking once you get to the rim kind of stuff. And I mean, LeBron has a little bit of it, but it's not really the same. It just looks different, right? That was a long way to say that, but I do believe we're still seeing this Chris Paul meltdown, and I think the Mavs are gonna win this.
So?
It's just something about these Chris Paul teams I don't understand. Like when the games matter, for his career he's blown 4 2-0 leads. Was that one?
So it's a stat I got here. He's 3-4 in game 7s, so it's not a good record in game 7s. On top of that, I think the length that Dallas has makes it a struggle a bit for Phoenix, offensively for them, because they've got bigger guys in Dallas that are they're able to take away that range that someone could possibly use. The one stat I told you I had, I can give it to you now because I saw it and I was like, no way. And I looked it up 2-3 different times. So the all-time playoff points leader per game is MJ. He's 33.4 points per game. Luka is second at 32.8 points per game.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely insane.
He's averaging something like 39 points a game for the playoffs this year or something like that. It's something absurd.
It's absolutely crazy. The numbers, I was looking at them, I was just like, wow, that's absolutely insane. Yeah. Like someone to play like that in the playoffs.
There's only 3 players ever who've averaged over 30 points per game for a career in the playoffs, and Luka and MJ are 2 of them. I think the other one's Wilt.
Maybe that's the number. All right, maybe we get that by the end of the show. Just pop it in there at the end somehow.
Yeah. I'll have my secretary on it.
So the problem for me, I think, on the series is I like Chris Paul. I've never hated Chris Paul. I've always wanted to see him succeed. I think he's a great basketball player, probably one of the top point guards of all time. Yep. If someone wants to argue this, he's still not the top. John Stockton's the top point guard of all time. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yes.
The guy leads 2 statistical categories in NBA career, and I don't think they'll ever be broken.
I mean, if we go, so, for whoever the viewer that's listening, we're going to go into our top 10 centers of all time here in just a few minutes, and there's a reason why we're going to do this. We're going to do point guards as well. Let's just go ahead and say we're going to do point guards next week. But I would say Chris Paul's a top 5 point guard of all time. I think he's there.
Maybe.
You get into some really weird numbers that matter what numbers matter more than others. But I mean, the dude's, he's played 17 years in the league. He still produces. I still think he should have went to LA last year. I don't know why the Lakers didn't make a move and LeBron want to play with Chris Paul. Something tells me they really don't. They have like a
Maybe
history
Chris Paul
together,
didn't want
and
to.
I don't think he wanted together because he signed a
Yeah.
contract with the Suns or extended this last year. So, but yeah, I would say he's the top 5 point guard of all time if I just produce a list in my mind very quickly. I think the top 2 spots are locked in, and then it's everybody
Fair
else.
enough.
But
That's fair enough. So that I think is my issue. I like Luca. I don't necessarily like Dallas, and that's just a personal preference of years of
yeah,
the Heat and Dallas going back and forth. And they stole a championship. I don't think it should have happened, but whatever. We can go down that path another day.
I mean, you're absolutely right. It's a whole other conversation. I think that was, that team had 2 Hall of Famers on it, but that
Yeah.
Dallas team should have never won a championship, and they destroyed the Heat. It's so weird to say that, because they laid a good little ass whooping to them.
Yeah, I agree. So I think I'm just excited to watch the game, to be honest. I don't
Yeah.
even think I have a pick for it. Like, if you told me to put money on a team, I don't think I could. I'd be okay with watching this game and seeing what happens with it.
Yeah, I think it goes, what Chris Paul do we get this game? Because I believe Luka's already shown you he's going to bring his game. So you're going to get 30 plus points out of Luka. You should. But if Chris Paul comes out and has a 18 to 25 point game with 8 to 10 assists, the Suns are probably going to win that game. Like, it's the numbers just roll in their favor when that happens. But so, yeah. Maybe the game rides on him a little more than what we think.
He had, what was it, last night? Yeah, last night was the Friday night. Today's Sunday, isn't it? Wow. So Friday night was the Grizzlies and Warriors. The Warriors handle business. They are a veteran team in my mind that knows how to take care of business when they need to take care of business. They also have just a fantastic core there with Draymond, Steph, and Clay. You add to that team only by putting better guys. Poole looks like he's maybe gonna maybe progress, take up a mantle in there, and be part of that outstanding thing. But I think the one thing that doesn't get talked about enough, maybe because I think Steph is that much of a generational talent. Maybe not. Maybe he's not top 10 in the NBA ever. I don't know, like where I'd put him, but in what he did for basketball, I think he's probably one of the greatest players that's ever played. He changed the absolute way the game will be played from here on out because he came out and he just shot the ball. He shot the ball better than anybody else could, and he does it over and over again.
There's a great conversation I've had with some older friends of mine, being a big music buff. And just to put, how I put this in context is Jimi Hendrix, I don't think is anywhere near one of the greatest guitar players of all time. That's just, people have progressively, they have gotten better. It's just how it is, right? But I don't think, more people picked up, touched, and played a guitar because of Jimi Hendrix than any other guitarist that's ever, walked the earth. And that's how I kind of look at Steph. I can't say he's the best ever or one of the best ever, but more people are doing what they do because of that guy. Maybe more so than anybody in NBA history, and that's even against the likes of that. So,
I was about to bring that up. I think he is a more known basketball player across the world, maybe than I don't know. I don't even know how you do a poll like this.
Quantify it,
but even saying like farther than like LeBron or maybe even Giannis, who's an international talent, or Joker, who's also an international guy. Just what he's been seen across the the world. I think
he gives the little guys a reason to think they can play in the league, man. And you had the Muggsy Bogueses and those guys, the Spud Webbs of the 80s and 90s, but they didn't play nearly on the level of what Steph Curry's done. And he's got the hardware to prove it too. On top of that,
yeah. I mean, 100%. Like, if you're a defender in the NBA, you have to guard this guy from the mid, half court line, because he might just throw up a shot and put it right in there. It doesn't matter.
Never seen a player you've had to do that. You've had to pick him up 50 feet off the rim.
No, not at all.
So,
but getting to my point that I was making, Steve Kerr, I think, is becoming one of, if I won't say the greatest. There's coaches in there that are just absolutely phenomenal in the world, but maybe of this time, one of the greatest NBA coaches in in the way that he decided, because if you read into the Warriors and how they became what they are, part of it was him saying, you know what, a 3-pointer is one more point, and you're going to miss just as many 2-pointers as you do 3-pointers, so you might as well take it. Like that type of mentality. And man, that's crazy. Like it's insane to think his NBA career that he had, because of course he won multiple championships, great 3-point shooter. He was a what do they call it? I don't even know the word, but on the Bulls teams, he was basically, I don't want to say a centerpiece, but someone out there that could take a load. If ball got thrown out, going to put it in the basket. Like that was your job.
I think he was like a career, like 8 or 9 points a game guy, but his 8 or 9 points just so happened, when I think he has 3 championships with the Bulls.
Yeah,
he won 3 of them. So yeah, I get what you're saying there. I completely agree. And these great teams, these great dynasties, kind of take a mix. Like
can't do it alone.
You can't do it alone. Jordan had terrible success without Phil Jackson. And when they put the pieces together, they became inarguably over about 8 years, the greatest team that's ever. I mean, you can't argue it, actually. I mean, 6 chips in 6 years that they played together, right? 6 and 8 years. And I mean,
I can tell you from that point in my life, I hated the Bulls because I knew the Heat were not going to win a championship no matter how bad they were back then. And they were bad initially starting out. It didn't matter because the Bulls were still in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah. So, I mean, you got Phil there, and then you got, Popovich with the Spurs.
Yeah.
I mean, this is putting it takes those guys putting stuff together because those teams played a little differently. They do things a little differently. And then, if Kobe doesn't get Phil Jackson, I don't know if he ever wins a championship. Like,
fair enough.
I don't know if that happens. I think Jordan still wins a championship if Phil never comes along. I don't think he wins 6 of them, but
maybe not.
It's those kind of coaches. Like if Steve Kerr doesn't take over the Warriors, I mean, we may not really be talking about them because he kind of lets them. He opens the floodgates and lets them play. So,
also on that note, the Grizzlies. Just looking at that team in general and how they're built, what they've got on the team, they're going to be fun to watch. I'm pretty sure the quote from them was like they're saying, "Hey, we're coming back. Like,
yeah,
you're going to have to face us next year, and we're going to be ready for it." Like they got that, the bite of that sandwich, and now they're ready to move on to more. It'll be a fun team to watch because Memphis, throughout its lifetime, had a couple good teams in there, but realistically hasn't really ever been a powerhouse or anything like that.
The NBA looks really solid right now I was reading that comment. The NBA is solid with talent, young talent across the league.
I love it.
So many teams, so many players, so many greats. So, which kind of makes me want to roll into this. Last week I said, Joker was officially named, the MVP last week, and I saw some conversations of, where are we starting to put him in the conversation of one of the best centers we've ever seen play. So I wanted to have a quick discussion. We got maybe 10 minutes or so. We can talk top 10 greatest centers of all time. Jeff, I definitely want to see what you chime in here. Whoever else is listening or watching, let us know. Throw it in the chat right here, and we're going to talk about it. But let's build, a list of 10, and it doesn't have to be in order because I think 2 or 3 of them could be argued of who the greatest center of all time is. But
so I think the only way you can do this is by starting out, as ridiculous as it sounds, with what a definition of a center is in the NBA. Like per how it goes. Like that's like what's a center in the NBA. So like if you looked it up and I read it off of a machine that told me exactly what it's saying. Traditionally plays close to the rim, acts as an anchor on the offense and defense, typically the tallest player on the team, usually the strongest player on the team. Plays low post down on the block, like that type of mentality. So when you get that in the mind, and we can go right into it, top 10 centers of all time. That's a tough list. In my mind, it's a tough list because some of those guys didn't play basketball when I was around to watch basketball. So it's hard to, in my brain, quantify something, and all we can use are the statistics and then mix it in with some opinion, I guess, if you wanted to.
Absolutely. I like how you kind of rolled into that. I think there's definitely some discussion to be had. I think there's 4 guys that are going to be the top 4, and then there's everybody else, right? There are 4 dudes that we're going to bring up that if they're not in your list of your top 4 centers of all time, you and I are reading something different then. because this is what I read, and it's hard to find a list with. I don't know if I've seen a list without those four.
You won't. You won't actually. You won't see them at all without those four on there. So
and even number 5 is probably locked in too.
You might as well spout them out because those. Yeah. I think if the fifth dude is we haven't talked about this list. We kind of just said words about it, whatever. And I think the fifth dude, if you're talking about who I think you're talking about, I mean, people still go to the school to understand how to play low post the way the Dream did, basically.
Absolutely. I like that. And that is who I would put at number 5 right now. So the 4 guys that are talked about, Bill Russell, he's got 11 chips. And we're going to have a discussion about greatest basketball player stuff later on. He has 11 chips, non-negotiable, 15 points, 22 rebounds a game. Number 2 or a second name, Wilt Chamberlain. Everybody, he lacks in the championship department compared to most guys, especially when you look at how he offensively dominated. I don't know when blocks. I'd have to, research when blocks were actually recognized as a stat, but it's believed that his block number is somewhere in the 8,000 career blocks. Think about that. The all-time block leader is at 4,000, and I think he had actually about 8,000 blocks throughout his career. But we don't know. We'll never know. Not every game is on tape. You got Kareem, the all-time leading scorer. He's got 5 rings, 6 MVPs, regular season MVPs.
It's hard to argue that.
Yeah, and I think you and I both have Shaq up there as well. Was it 4-time champ? He's got an MVP. And just the dominance, big boy basketball, right? And he played the game a little differently. Got Hakeem at 5, or my fifth name. I got to say this again. I'm not saying in that order. It's just the 5th person that I would say would be Hakeem Olajuwon. I'll let you if you want to throw in some there. I can keep going if you want. It doesn't matter.
No, I do want to say just for a couple guys. So Hakeem to me maybe made the big man like a what would I want to call it? Maybe like an agile footwork type of game. And that was his big thing was like, man, he could work the feet and he could work the post like that. And it was so smooth. It was insane to watch Hakeem play basketball. I remember there's a reason they won the championships they won. And there's also a reason they didn't win anymore.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But yeah, Hakeem being there is absolutely insane. I just saw a stat on on Wilt that I don't think I've ever seen, and I think it's insane. Over a 2-season period, I'd have to see which seasons, he averaged 47.6 points a game.
Okay.
Also, he had 20 or more boards per game for 12 consecutive seasons.
You want to know what's crazy about that? Here's the crazy thing is he did not win the rebounding championship those 12 seasons. It's something like, now,
of course, basketball was different back then. We can all agree on that.
Because Bill Russell won 3 of those, I think.
Did he?
Yeah, I think so. The 63-64 season. But yeah, he averaged his rookie season. He averaged 37.6 points per game and 27 rebounds. His rookie season. So I think
two more guys I would add in there. David Robinson, and Jeff said it on there too. David Robinson is on this list as an all-time top 10 center. I don't think I don't even know like where to go to say where it wasn't that made him play the way he did, but he played a lot. He was quick. He was in great shape. We talked about this. Absolute guy that was in amazing shape. And he ran the court like he wasn't a big guy. So it made it fun to watch him. I remember him and why can't I remember his name? Duncan playing together in San Antonio, and you were just like, what do you do with these two guys down there?
Oh, I mean, I specifically remember when Tim Duncan was drafted and saw this team getting put together. And, I grew up as a Shaq fan, and I was like, what in the hell is going on here?
Yeah.
Shaq's never going to win anything.
Yeah.
Seeing that.
And then I think my other guy I would add on there, just growing up, Patrick Ewing. As much as I hate the Knicks to this day. I'll hate them every single day of the week. Patrick Ewing was an amazing center to me. He plays on the Knicks, so they don't win championships.
I had read a stat previously on Patrick Ewing. At one point, he was top 10. It was like top 10 in scoring, rebound, and blocks, and is the only player who'd ever, at that point, who'd ever been in all 3 categories. Now he's 23rd in scoring, 25th in rebounds.
Yeah, I mean, over time, it's gotten
Yeah.
away. I think he played during Jordan era, so you count that Eastern Conference side of the basketball during that time was pretty much you're trying your hardest to beat him. I mean, Reggie Miller's in the same boat. That's a different topic for a different day. And then he also played at the same time that two guys we just mentioned, Robinson and Olajuwon played as well. So, hey,
Yeah.
what a time for centers, I guess, huh?
I'm writing this down so we have this as well.
No, Duncan was a power forward, I believe. I believe that's what
he would be a power forward
written down as.
Yeah, and there's a reason I'm not bringing up Giannis because he's statistically he's listed as a power forward. So that puts us at 7, right, with Ewing. And then we go into
doesn't Giannis play? Jeez.
Yeah. David Robinson and Patrick, absolutely. I think Moses Malone you got to start bringing up, right? He's got 3 MVPs as a center. 12-time All-Star, and he also has 2 sorry, I almost read that incorrectly. Thought he had 2 defensive player of the years, but he's 5th in rebounds, 9th in scoring. He's top 10 in 2 major categories, especially as a big man. If you enter in the top 10 in both of those, you are absolutely going to be in this consideration. So I think Moses Malone definitely has to be considered there. Now is when we start adding the new name, and it's why I wanted to do this list. I think Nikola Jokic has already entered as a top 10 center of all time, and it's the whole reason I wanted to do this conversation. Just because he's already a 2-time MVP, back-to-back MVP. He's 26, 27 years old. And statistically speaking, he's going to be the all-time leader in assists when it comes to centers. When this is all said and done, as far as big men, he's going to destroy these guys in assists. And he's averaging like 13 rebounds a game right now, which is on par with the Shaqs and the Olajuwons that we have. So I want to throw him out there as well.
I don't disagree with you there. I think we're seeing someone who's going to change the way the center position is played, maybe is the way to go about it. And you've got a lot of guys that are big dudes. You got Giannis, you got KD. I say KD. KD's tall. He's still 100 pounds soaking wet. So maybe he's not center material if you use the definition of being, low post, big guy, powerful type of deal. But you've got these bigger guys who have somewhat transitioned here recently into being more of a, power forward or maybe a small forward type of gameplay is what they're doing. So for Joker to come along and actually be a true center, but play the way he's playing, I think it's going to make a change towards basketball coming up in the next, let's say decade or so, where kids are seeing this and they're like, oh, wow, I can do this as a center. Like, this is acceptable and I'll continue doing this.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic because, he plays on the Nuggets. They did lose, but from night to night, you don't know what you're going to get because if the defense comes down on him, he's just going to deliver the ball like a champion and, put the assists out there where the points won't be as much as they were one night and compared to another. Yeah. I like him though. I like it on there. I love what Jeff put up there
So we had talked about Mutombo as well. I'm going to go through his numbers here in just a minute. So here's where I'm going to make a drastic change. So we've got 8 people we've listed here so far. Most people, I'm reading Bob McAdoo, Wes Unseld, George Micon. Micon could probably be considered a Micon. He's got 5 titles, but I'm going to throw out Dwight Howard for the simple fact that he is top 13 in points and rebounds already. He's got I think like 5 all defensive selections, 11 rebounds, 13 in blocks, 57th in scoring. So I apologize, not quite the score some of these guys, but he's got 3 defensive player of the year awards, 8 all-stars, and I think he's got 3 or 4 rebounding titles in there too on top of that as well.
So as a matter of fact, I'm looking at center information right now, and they're wondering why Dwight Howard isn't named on here. Just one of the things I was reading, and I agree with you. I think when Dwight Howard came out and he was playing basketball first couple of years, I thought he came into the NBA where maybe big men were kind of I don't want to say disappearing, but they weren't being what they used to be. Yeah. And he kind of brought that back. He brought that mentality back. He brought that big guy attitude back. I don't have an issue with it other than his attitude in general.
I just remember his prime defensively.
Yeah.
Like, is that Mutombo-esque, right? Yeah. I mean, he's got 3 defensive player of the year awards. I think there's only like 2 other players that have ever done that, and nobody has 4. Like, I think Kareem has 3, I believe, is one of them on there. And then you go for your what I would say number 10 is you're fine with putting George Mikan because he has 5 titles. Like that's getting into old man stats that like even I don't even dive in too hard there to
So
see
the
where he was at.
so the big thing with Mikan, and he's maybe controversial to say is what you would call it. The game was actually changed because of him.
Yep.
Part of the 24-second shot clock was introduced because of the way he played basketball. So what he did, he also was he was a guy that physically just outhandled everybody else that was out there. You got to think of when he played in the late 40s and 50s. There just weren't guys his size. So the shot clock, and they also widened the lane because of him, because he could sit down there and just take control of all of it, and nobody could do anything. Yeah. So I think when you think about that and you think about how the game changed to where it's come, I believe he should be on there. I mean, you made two pretty big uh, shifts in the game, the way the game was played, just because of one person.
Agreed. Agreed. Yeah, he only played like 7 seasons too, but his rookie season, he averaged 28 points a game. He averaged 28 points a game for 3 straight seasons, and he's somewhere in like the 14, 15 rebounds a game, albeit is 70 years ago, 80 years ago. But yeah,
hey man,
absolutely,
you got to do something.
I just wanted to have that good conversation. Ralph Sampson.
I mean, I believe Sampson was a powerhouse, but I agree with you. I don't think he played. I don't want to say long enough to maybe matter, but he just didn't have the impact that.
Played 8 years, 15 points, 8 rebounds a game. I think he got destroyed. Was he on the Rockets? Yeah, he played for the Rockets, right? He's in the Hall of Fame. Yeah.
Well, fair enough.
I need to go through some.
I thought everybody in the NBA got in the Hall of Fame.
You do. So he had like 5 or 6 great seasons, and Jeff, you may have to correct. I think he may have got hurt in the mid 80s or late 80s, 87, 88. I think he got hurt.
I mean, he was a big, skinny guy. He wasn't like overly large for what was coming out at that time.
And I'm just gonna look up Mutombo's numbers real quick because he played for 30 years. 10-10 guy, 3-time block champion, 2-time rebound champion, 4-time defensive player. He is the only one that has 4 defensive players a year.
I feel like when you do something like that, you've got to be on some sort of list that makes you absolutely great.
Absolutely.
I mean, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. You can't wave your finger at someone when you block them anymore because it was so just demoralizing to someone every time you did it.
I mean, you go back and look at his numbers. There was about a 10-year stretch where he was shut down.
Yeah.
Shut down. 4.5 blocks a game. Good Lord.
That's absurd. Crazy to me. Yeah, that's absolutely insane.
He averaged 4 blocks a game and played all 82 games.
All right. So we said what? We're doing point guards next week?
Point guards next week. We'll be, I wouldn't say more prepared, but I know I kind of wanted to throw it out there. We start talking centers. No more Mutombo. Yeah, you do Mutombo finger now. You're done.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you get a technical for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Next week we'll do all-time point guards, and we're going to do this each week, and then probably week 6, we'll make our top 10 list of all-time players.
That's hard for me.
We'll see. It's not impossible. It's just miserable.
Yeah, so, it's tough.
All right, man. That's the longest we've ever talked basketball in here, and I don't mind it. But it's time we roll into some football.
I mean, so for football this week, what did we have? We had the schedule. The schedules were released for the NFL, and I mean, what do you say?
The first thing I noticed is that thanks for the homework. Yeah, Jeff. First thing I noticed, the Dolphins don't have a primetime game. Neither do the Panthers.
No, I believe
no primetime. No Monday Night Football.
Yeah, they have maybe a Thursday or a Sunday.
Yep. Dolphins have one of each. They have a Thursday night game and then a Sunday primetime game.
Carolina has a Thursday night game. I think the Lions are the only team that doesn't have a primetime game, but they play on Thanksgiving, so it's kind of we'll see what happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, you would think, especially with number 2 pick overall. I mean, there's a reason they're number 2 pick, but people are really jumping on this Coach Campbell train, man. They love this dude.
I love the attitude. I'm not gonna lie.
I still think the Dolphins should have hired him 5 years ago, but they didn't 4 years ago.
I'm not gonna lie. I love the attitude. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, Jeff, we're going to roll right into what I was going to talk about. Yeah, some of the primetime games. I don't really. I mean, I want to watch Monday Night Football. I want to watch the Dolphins. Dolphins have the longest standing run in Monday Night Football, and they've played the most games in Monday Night Football history. It's like 81 times they've played Monday Night Football, and I still want to see that. So hopefully they play better this year, especially with all the weapons that the Dolphins have. Like they are on paper supposed to be exciting to watch. Now, let's see if they have a
I
quarterback who
mean,
put the ball in somebody's hands. But
yeah,
um,
we'll see what happens.
so Jeff brought it up already. The NFC East pretty much the whole division has the easiest schedule, right?
Yep.
And I think it's just going to fluff up it's going to fluff a bunch of crap for us. I think the Eagles are going to absolutely have their way with the NFC East this year. And we're probably going to see Dallas Dallas get some wins against teams that they probably should or shouldn't, and we're going to fluff them up again, and they're going to just fail miserably before the playoffs start. So
I do believe Washington gets to play the Giants, and I don't want to say back to back weeks, but they play the Giants, they go on a bye, and they play the Giants again.
yeah, so 2-0 already.
Yeah. So
Right.
I mean, lucky for them, huh?
I don't know how the NFL allows that.
I was trying to get a list of like the schedule based, the 1 to 32 on which is the. Of course, I can't find it when I want to.
NFL, I got you here. I had it pull up earlier. I did notice that. Let's see, week 1 we have Seattle and Denver. So you
Whoa.
know why why they immediately go into that right there. I mean, it's not like it's if Seattle was just
And it's in Seattle,
it's
which I
in
think
Seattle.
is I
So
think it's exciting. I don't know, man. I don't know how I feel about it. I don't feel like Russell Wilson was like, I hate Seattle. I'm out of here. Get out of here. That type of mentality. So yeah, they're working it up and everything. I do like seeing the Colts at Jaguars, although they're going to play them twice a year, no matter what. But early on, just to see how that goes, I think
there you
it's a
go.
good time.
There's a link for the strength of schedule for every team
Okay.
in order. Um, I'll throw it up.
What else do we
Yeah,
got?
I could think of just so many better games I'd rather watch. Like
Chiefs at Bucks.
why? Yeah, I don't know. Do they play each other this year?
Yeah, week 4
So week
in,
4 we got that. I'm
in
pulling up the schedule
Tampa.
right now.
The Rams at the Buccaneers. That's another big game. They had some good ones up where they were just like, oh man, some real good powered games. I don't know. Let's see if I can find this list because that's really what I wanted to look at. I want to see who has the easiest schedule, who has the hardest schedule.
The Cowboys have the easiest schedule.
And they're saying the Rams have the hardest. That's not a surprise though. They have
Yep.
to play the Cardinals, the 49ers, and I think Seattle's who's their other team they play. I don't think I know they are, but
Yeah, it's crazy that you see the top 4 teams. You got Rams, Cardinals, Bengals, and Bucks, and then essentially 3 of those 4 teams are playing for a title last year. So
yeah.
the schedule.
Well,
So
and who's after that? You got the 49ers, Chiefs, teams that are still really good teams. But
I
hey, I
mean,
mean the NFL is doing a good job of making teams that had a tough time. I say that the freaking Panthers are 12th hardest.
yeah,
Who else is on?
I think Dolphins middle of the pack, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
21. So they're not really middle of the pack. They're on the back burner. But they also had the hardest schedule in the NFL last year preseason.
Was it the hardest one?
They had one of the actually, I think I may have that saved in another folder on my computer here.
Okay.
Um,
So they do. So what they start off at home twice at home in September. So good for them. But they have that weird in December 3 straight road teams.
who is this
Road
again?
games. The Dolphins.
Dolphins schedule.
They've got
Oh, man.
three straight road games in December against 49ers, Chargers, and Bills.
Yeah,
It doesn't help the end of your season.
it's they're always going to end with Bills or Patriots. They do every year.
Yeah, but
But
I
you're
mean,
absolutely
you put
right.
the 49ers and the Chargers in front of it.
They went out again this year. They start off with the Patriots, which I think is a great game because it's a statement game for the Dolphins. Because I think the Patriots are actually taking a step back. They had a terrible draft this year, and I believe a team is going to take a step back. But then, lo and behold, what do we get again? The one guy I love to root against. They get the Ravens week 2, so we get to see if he throws another 500-yard, 5-touchdown game on them and just absolutely light them up. But yeah,
Lamar Jackson. I think we're gonna have tons of stuff to talk about.
But then they go Bills, Bengals, back to back, and then middle of the pack kind of stuff, and then and that end of the. I'm sitting here looking at it right now. Here's their last 4 games. No, from week 13, 49ers at San Francisco, at the Chargers, at Buffalo. That's 3 weeks in a row. And then they have the Packers at home.
To end the season?
Nope. And then they end the season with the Patriots.
Okay.
At New England. But there's a 4 game stretch where it's at 49ers, at Chargers, at Bills, host the Packers. So, I mean,
there were some weird things went on with the schedule. What is it? The Bears, they have December at home. Their schedule is December at home. For some reason, that's the way it opens up for them. There were some odd things that I saw on there that I was just like, huh, okay. Who else?
I just know the Dolphins aren't playing anywhere close to me, and I don't get to watch them this year. So
the Texans are facing 3 teams that'll be coming off a bye throughout the season, so that's not going to help them at all.
Yeah, Miami over New England. Jeff, I believe you're right, man. I'm not going to be surprised if the Dolphins sneak out a division championship this year. The Bills are going to be they're going to be good. I picked them last year, and we saw how it worked, so might as well do it again this year.
Love it. I love it, man. I'm excited. I love seeing the schedule come out. I like seeing what's on Monday night. I know that the Manning brothers are still doing their Monday night thing too, as well for certain games. So it'll make it even better. I'm excited to see what happens. But at the end of the day, this is all before anything's happened in the season. Anybody's been hurt. No, preseason hasn't happened yet, so we can talk everything we want. And then, Patrick Mahomes goes out and who knows, tears an ACL walking down a set of stairs or something, like something crazy like that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Yeah, as far as that's really the big NFL news. See, Jarvis Landry signed to the Saints.
I know when that came up, I sent you guys a message. Missed pretty much. Now, is there a guarantee Michael Thomas is going to play football? Who knows? I don't know what goes on in the head of some wide receivers at times. Yeah. But if he does, they're giving Jameis Winston everything he could possibly hope for to succeed. And actually, I think there's a couple teams that did that because Miami did the same thing. They basically got guys out there and they're like, hey, we're going to find out, I guess, this year if it's a quarterback issue or it's an offense issue or what it is. And I think Philadelphia's done the same thing where they think they may have a quarterback they may be able to use, and they put the key pieces around them and see what happens.
Dolphins just signed Melvin Ingram, by the way, pass rusher.
I did see that. I was going to bring it up. Yep, I was going to bring it up, and I was like, I'll wait till it. Who cares?
Let's see. Anything else crazy? Judy from the Broncos is wrapped up in some kind of craziness there in Denver.
It looks like the U.S. federal penitentiary system has a better wide receiving core than some football teams.
Yeah, absolutely.
Famously, Alabama guys that just aren't playing football.
Yeah. I mean, there was a couple of things there. Like, was it Earl Thomas got arrested? And then Judy got arrested there about a day apart. So, no, I agree. It looks like these teams, the Saints are putting pieces around Jameis to give him a chance. Yeah. He's on a play, play for the big deal kind of season. So, he's coming off an injury, but
hey man, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Couple things I do want to talk about there now that you're back here, and I'm not just mouth breathing into the microphone. After the draft, Ryan Tannehill made a comment that it's not his job to mentor Malik Willis. So
I love it.
I kind of want to know your thoughts on this because I think it's comical because it's okay when a Brett Favre or a Tom Brady, Peyton Manning says something like this. It's a little different game, right? Because one, they may say it publicly just to be, jokingly, it's not their job. But they're going to teach these guys. They're going to mentor them to some level. But yeah. I truly believe Tannehill has put this out because he's scared to death of losing his job already.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Is the second I heard that he had said that, I was like, man, does he already think that, maybe he's lost his job? Does he think the dude's going to come in and take his job? Like that type of mentality?
Yeah.
So, I mean, Willis was the number 1 recruited quarterback, for the NFL draft this year, and it worked out. I don't even remember what round they got him in, to be 100% honest with you. Was it second round?
Third round.
Third round? Okay.
Third round, I believe.
And you know what? I say good on Tennessee because they've got someone right now that can throw the football. The team, the way they play football, it works out that, they don't need a guy to throw 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns because they've got a running back that can run 2,000 yards and score 20 touchdowns.
Yeah, it's my kind of thought on this is you can't think as a Titans fan. There's no way Titans leadership thinks that they're going to win a championship this year. You've traded away AJ Brown. I don't think the mindset's there, right? I think you're going to compete. They're going to be a 10-12 win team if Derrick Henry stays healthy. But I look at this as a perfect time to go ahead and make that change at quarterback because you have a powerhouse running game to protect your quarterback. You're not going to force him to throw the ball 45 times a game, right? If you're going to throw 40, 45 times a game, let Tannehill do it. He's done it before. Yeah. He's experienced. He's not trash. He's just not great. But if you're going to sit here and take advantage of the team you got right now, I think establishing, who the starter is, they obviously think Willis is the future. I think you put him in, man, and I think that's what's crazy about this. Put him in and let Derrick Henry protect
let him eat, man.
Let him eat.
So, Jeff, I wrote this down. I put the date. I'll flip back to it later on in the year because I don't know. I don't know. I know you're a Titans fan, and I know you're greatly invested in it. I just only live down the road, so I'm not really invested in it. That's all I can say about it. Yeah. But I agree with you. They have the run game that can definitely take over a season. I believe they also drafted a running back from Michigan, I believe, is the running back from Michigan, who they picked up as well. Somebody else to help carry a load on top of the fact that they've got Derrick Henry there. And Malik Willis is a more movement. I don't want to say movement heavy quarterback, but he can move around and kind of other Tannehill can too. He's surprisingly mobile for what he is.
Well, I mean, Tannehill was a receiver tight end in college up until his junior year.
So I think I agree with you. If you don't think you're going to win a championship and you have an opportunity to see what this guy can bring you,
now's the time
throughout the year. Who knows? Maybe this is the piece that you've been missing. You traded away your star wide receiver. You brought in a wide receiver a couple of years ago that you thought could be a star and pretty much did nothing for you. No. They also drafted a wide receiver, if I'm correct, the kid out of Arkansas. He was like top 20 pick, I believe. That's who they got for
number 18.
Yeah, for trading AJ, they got the pick from Philadelphia to pick him.
Yep.
We'll see. I'm excited to see it. I think Tannehill's scared. I think the years he had in Miami where, over his shoulder, he was wondering about his job the whole time because it was what it was. The situation was what it was. Like, there's no other way to go about it. And I think he still carries that with him, knowing he's in a situation where, yes, he is a quarterback. He is on they're a very good team. I don't think they're a bad team. Do I think they're a championship winning team? No.
Yeah.
And he knows without him, they could still be a good team.
Yeah. And I think that's ultimately what it is. Nail on the head there. We'll definitely start diving into this. So kind of foreshadow what we're going to do for moving throughout the summer. I think Ronnie said there's 17 weeks before.
I think until football season is what it is.
Until football season, yeah. So here in a few weeks, we're going to start breaking down each division. What we can do is if you guys want to see some specific stuff for teams, we can definitely do that. I can promise you we're going to hit on the Dolphins and Panthers probably a little harder because it's the teams that we follow. But we're going to hit each division. Yeah, I love them all. But we'll break down each division and kind of go that route. And one, it's for building content because there's times like this year where there's not a lot happening. Insert Tom Brady signed a $400 million deal with Fox, and he can start working with them when he feels like. So that's about the most exciting thing that's really happened in the NFL.
Good for you, Tom Brady.
Good for you. So we're going to start moving into that aspect of breaking down the divisions and teams and make some predictions, probably talk some fantasy stuff because that's starting to heat up again. Yeah, we get excited, right?
Yeah, it is.
So just to kind of foreshadow what we're going to be doing over the next few weeks here as we start to prepare for that. We'll make
the NFL
exciting. Oh, he sent us, Jeff, I I have it saved, man. I took a screenshot on my phone of it as well, so we are definitely going to be talking about that. But yeah, just some things to look forward to over the next few weeks. I know we're hitting our 1 hour mark right here, and trying to build that time for NFL stuff. So maybe we can throw in some USFL stuff if you want.
It's not really how I feel about the USFL.
Yeah, it's not really breaking out to be what we thought it was going to be.
So. No, and it's sad for the dudes that like maybe get a chance out of it, but it's not working. I to be 100% honest with you, if you make a league that doesn't have an NFL involvement, I don't think it's going to make it very far.
No.
And that's maybe that's why the XFL, I believe next year they're starting, and they are going to be
an NFL affiliate.
R&D aspect for the NFL to see like different things and how they work. Maybe that's a success key. Maybe that's something you can build in there and find more. I don't know.
Absolutely. Ron, I don't have anything else to throw.
No, man, that's it.
Yeah. Check us out anywhere you can download a podcast, Spotify, Amazon, all those good stuff. We'll throw it up here. Give me a couple hours and I'll have it up there.
Yep.
Let us know what you think. Give us a like on Facebook, and we'll see you guys.
Tell your friends about it, man. Tell everybody you know. See if they like it. Maybe they don't. I don't care.
Yeah, it's your opinion, man. All right. See you guys.
See ya.